Bench today, a man who has not given an interview in more than 5 years. So this is exclusive. Issack Hassan, the very first chairperson of the IEBC, he's written a book called Referee of a Dirty, Ugly Game. And he goes on to say, in the theater of Kenya's election, an insider's account. That's exactly what he was. This book is 559 pages. I tell you, every one of them worth the read. Check it out. Buy this book, folks. And I highly, highly recommend it. Chairman, look, where can we begin? There's a chapter called Poisoned Chalice.
Yes.
You were chairperson of the IEBC, right?
Yes, yes.
The prelude to IEBC.
Yes.
And, but you had been offered another job. Someone was encouraging you to be a High Court judge or Justice of the High Court.
That was actually before I became chairman of IEBC. I was shortlisted for interview for the IEBC Interim Electoral Commission. Yeah. And in the book I say, you know, I received a call. I was going for interview on Thursday for the Parliamentary Select Committee. Yeah. And then I got a call on Monday from the Chief Justice. Right, Gisheru. The late Gisheru, yes. Yes. And of course, he told me, you know, I've been vetted, and will I come and sign the register and be ready for swearing in on Thursday. As a High Court judge? Yes. Why? I don't know why. You saw those days, they never used to advertise for High Court judges. They used to do their thing on their own. They used to do their own vetting, investigations, and then recommend the names to the president for swearing in. So that time, I think I was vetted for some reason, and they went to my village in Bura, to the school, to go and talk to my chiefs, and then they gave, I think I was given a clean bill of health to be appointed a judge. Then I think I was not ready for it. I asked for time to think about it, and the Chief Justice told me, you don't have a lot of time. I need to have your answer by 4 o'clock today. So I called my very good mentor and friend, Justice Muhammad Ibrahim, and Issack Hassan, who was also a very close friend of mine. I also called my grandmother. That's called me. Yeah. Told me, you know, you need to take this job. It's good for your career. But when I spoke to Muhammad Ibrahim and Issack Hassan, they told me, don't take it. It is too early for you. You can try these other jobs, and then if you want to become a judge later, you can always join in. So I took the advice. I went back to the Chief Justice. I told him, I'm very grateful for the offer, but I will not take it. He was very surprised. He said, this is a very important job. It's good for your community and for you. But of course, that was I told him, if I'm lucky, I'll come back here for swearing in by you. as a chairman of the... And it came to pass because I came back, I think, 2 weeks later for swearing in, myself and the commissioners. Was he disappointed, CJ? No. Of course, he just said, good luck. Yeah. So, of course, there are those who feel that that offer was meant to stop me from going for the chairman of IEBC. I don't believe myself. I think it was just a coincidence that I was vetted for this job, and I was offered this job, and then also I was going for interview for the IEBC. Yeah. That's the Interim Electoral Commission. Yes. And then when you became... After 24 months, you know, we had a very clear mandate as the interim IEBC, and that was to conduct the referendum for the new constitution, to set up a secretariat. Excuse me. Yeah. You recall that ECK was disbanded. Correct. And in December 28th, the chairman and the 22 commissioners and the 650 members of staff were all sent home. So for almost 5 months, Kenya had no electoral commission. So we came in now to set up the secretariat again, afresh, to conduct new voter registration, to do by-elections, because there were many that were pending, and of course then to do the referendum for the new constitution. Right. And I think we did a very good job. We came up very well, and the public was very happy with the work we did. I think the level of confidence in the commission was very high. And so we were hoping that we will then transit to the new commission.
The IEBC.
The IEBC.
Yeah.
But of course, there were a lot of intrigues and backstabbing. I came back myself, but only one commissioner from my team came back. That was Ambassador Yusuf Zibo.
And the intrigues were because of what, politics, or what was it?
It was politics, of course, it was politics. And you see, this commission, the IIC was going to just conduct the referendum and the by-elections and the other technical stuff. But this new IEBC was going to oversee the new election under the new constitution. So that's where there was a lot of interest in who becomes the commissioner and the chairman. Yeah. And so I was myself very disappointed that two very effective commissioners, who I thought were very good, were left out. That was Churchill. Churchill was very good in ICT.
Yes.
And he was really behind the very successful adoption of technology by the commission, and Willy Gushu. But they were not even shortlisted by the committee which was doing the selection. It was very shocking to all of us. Yeah. But of course, they ended up becoming, Churchill became the Secretary General of URP, and Willy became the CEO of the TNA.
Right.
So they went now and gave their expertise to the political parties. But I think that was a very bad thing. We should have had at least half of the commissioners coming in, continue the institutional memory, and carry forward the expertise.
Yeah. When you first moved into Anniversary Towers,
yes,
you talked about how you all went there.
Yes.
And it looked like nothing had been done in all that time. You know, the dust was still on the tables. Yes. You know, the place looked like...
There's one room, I think one office where we found a half-drunk soda.
Still?
Yes. But if you remember in December 2008, when the Parliament was discussing disbanding the ECK, the staff of the Commission were demonstrating against them being sacked. They didn't mind the commissioners being going, but the staff were very, they were demonstrating. And so I think the day when the law was passed, anti-riot police came in, and they were forcefully taken out of the offices. Yeah. So that's why we saw in some offices which are unopened, unclosed files, half a drunk bottle of soda, and so many things. So that showed us that some things were done in a hurry because they were being taken out of the offices. And of course, we also taken out of the offices, but in a different way. 7 years later.
Yeah, that building, there's something about that building.
Yeah.
Now, you were all along, you were seeking advice from colleagues and also professionals.
Yes.
And you also sought the advice of former chairman of ECK,
Samuel Kivuitu. Yes. Samuel Kivuitu was a friend to my partner, Justice Ibrahim. We had known him before. Ibrahim, you used to act for the ECK in some of the election petitions. And I also worked as a deputy returning officer in Ijara when he was a chairman.
In the 90s?
In 1997. And so, of course, I got to know him more after I became chairman. I came to Nairobi also. And so when I became the chairman, I looked for him. And he was very bitter with the way they were dealt with. And he gave me a lot of good advice. I also asked him to come and see the commissioners and talk to them. And he graciously agreed, despite the protest from his commissioners, who said, don't go and talk to these guys. Don't even give them any advice. But him, he was, I guess he had respect for the office that I was holding, because even in the course of before he died, he used to write me a letter, you know, sometimes call me. When there's something going on in the public domain, he wants to give his opinion. So he used to send me letters, actually, with his advice and his thoughts. So I took his advice very well. And of course, he told me also he regrets why he did not do his book, his memoir.
Right.
And so he advised me to make sure I keep records and write a book, because there will be a time will come when you will need to remove some of the lies because you are going to be maligned, persecuted unfairly. And so you have to have a way to be able to correct those mistakes and errors.
Which is what you've done here?
Yeah, correct.
Which is what you've done?
Yes.
Did he tell you who won the 2007 elections?
You know, there's a question he was asked by a journalist, I think, do you think Kibaki won fairly? And he said, I don't know. And then he went on to explain what he meant by that. You know, you win fairly if you have not used state power, if you have not used the civil service at your command, if there's no violence against the other supporters. I mean, there must have been a level playing field for all parties for you to win fairly. So he tried to explain that in the interview. Yeah. I think it was about 8 minutes or 10. But it was edited. Do you think Kibaki won fairly? And then the answer, I don't know, came together. And that now went to the whole world. Even in international conference, I was being asked, how come your chairman don't know who won the election? And I used to explain to them, this is what happened, because he told me himself that, you know, he even has the tape of the interview. And that was one thing that he was very unhappy about, the way he was portrayed by the media. Of course, he told me that according to his records, Kibaki had won the election.
Right.
But I think that's something now which is water under the bridge. It's gone. But there are those who feel that he did not win the election, that Raila actually won the election. And you could see that in the way the Speaker of Parliament, the election of the Speaker, went, and even the Deputy Speaker, Kenneth Berende, Farah Maalim, were ODM. So all the members of Parliament, they had the majority members of Parliament in I don't know how Kibaki was going to rule the government, the country, if there was no handshake. Yes. It would have been difficult, really.
And then subsequently, the coalition government was formed.
Yes.
We later called it. You were saying, was that a difficult period?
No, it was difficult because we are dealing with two camps. And they have to be informed of everything you're doing. And some of them will not take it kindly. For example, there was something happened during the election date announcement. I talk about it in the book.
Yes.
And I don't know how the president came to learn, but he announced it at Sagana State Lodge on Saturday. And we were planning to have a press conference on Monday to explain. But by the time we said it on Saturday, it was all over the news. And that was now the PNU side. But then the ODM side was very unhappy. We did not inform the Prime Minister. So this was something which was wrong.
Yeah.
So we had this kind of, many examples of when you're dealing with two coalitions of government.
Yeah. And you being the man in the middle, did one side think you were favoring the other, and then the other side think you were favoring the other?
Of course, ODM side you thought we were favoring PNU.
Yeah.
And PNU, of course, also did not believe that we were being fair, especially, for example, when we appointed our CEO, James Osago. There were those who felt that we were appeasing the Prime Minister or the ODM side, and that we are not being impartial in our work. So it happens. I need some more time.
Yes, of course. Yeah, we're getting it right now. The registration for the 2012 elections.
Yes.
You said it happened in 1 month.
Yeah.
And then something called the tyranny of numbers was coined. And you talk about that with Professor Mutai Ngugi. By the way, you talk about him quite a bit in the book.
Yes, I admire him very much.
Yes.
I think he's a very smart political analyst. And although he was accused of being a tribalist in that time, but he was just looking at the numbers. And we saw these numbers even before we closed the registration. If you recall that time, the ICC was a very major issue. Ruto and Uhuru were campaigning on the back of the ICC. They were saying, you know, we are victims because of our community, of defending our community. And so there was an element of passion and emotion behind the communities, the Kalenjin, Rift Valley, the Gema community, were registering in large numbers. And we could see from the returns something is going on here. And then they also spent a long time on FM stations. Uhuru was on I think, Kameme FM, and Kas FM was, hosting Ruto. So they actually spent some time mobilizing their communities. And that was shown in the turnout of the voters. And when we published the final list per region, I think Mutai Guji was just now making his own calculation and saying these guys are going to win the election because of this. And they actually won the election, as we saw. Yeah.
The other thing you talk about is the very controversial tendering process for ballot papers.
Yes.
And, the controversy that a lot of people know the story. But, talk to us through it, how it went and what happened and how they try to get you into it as well.
Something about procurement and financial matters in the commission. And I think this is something which the media, either by default or deliberately, do not separate. The chairman of the commission does not have any power over financial matters or procurement. The water I was drinking in my office, I did not know how it was sourced, because that was the work of the CEO, who was the accounting officer. And so a lot of the time I was getting flack for procurement issues, for financial management issues, when I am not authorized actually by law to do that. But still, we have to know what's going on, because it's going to affect our work. As election managers, you need to know whether you are getting your ballot papers on time, you are getting all the other on time, so because they're going to affect your work. And so we need to get information from the CEO about where things were going. And I know that, I did not know then, but that time also, already the chicken gate was going on, and chicken was being shared in the course of those procurement issues. So we thought, well, Speed and Usman have been supplying ballot papers for the commission from the referendum, even from Kivuitu's time, so they can do this work. And they won the tender, actually, according to the records that we had. But then their competitors were not happy, especially one called Kalamazoo.
Which is also from the UK?
Yes, they're both from UK. So I think they went to a lot of length to stop this company from working for us. They even went as far as the court. They challenged the award. They lost in the review board. Then they went to the High Court, and then they served it. Again, they lost it. And then finally, we got a letter from the National Security Advisory Committee, NSAC, from Kimemia, saying, we are concerned about ballot papers because this company that is alleged to have no capacity. Well, again, you see, I just have to share it with the CEO and tell him, can you respond to this letter? Because NSAC is concerned about these issues. But the long and short of it is that procurement, whenever the Electoral Commission is going to an election year, the amount of money which comes to the Commission is quite high. Because we are doing a lot of big tendering and procurement. Yeah. And I explain in this in the book what Ikuru Aukot told me, when I asked him, why is there so much interest on IEBC? Because we are not the only body which has got this amount of money in this election year. But he told me, other sectors have got their owners and their cartels. You guys are still virgin. You need to be owned. So that's why there's a lot of interest on IEBC procurement.
Yeah, he was also an agent of a...
Yes, he was an agent of Kalamazoo.
Yes.
And that time he had come to talk to me about the interest of his client. And of course, we do not agree on anything. Yeah. You see what I've written there.
He was very angry in a text message.
Yes, I said, I'm a very useless pastoralist.
That's what he called you. Yeah. And what did you say?
Well, I kept quiet that time. Yeah. I just kept quiet. But there's a time he appeared on TV He was talking about integrity, and how the commissioners, and myself should resign. And I sent it on the, I think on the way you do,
yes,
on the
SMS and tweets.
I said, if you don't stop telling lies about me, I'll start talking the truth about you. So, but it was never shown on the screen. But that is, I mean, he's still my friend. He's a very, very smart lawyer, and he writes very well. I read some of his work. And so, but that is just business. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you offered any chicken from the chicken gate?
No, I don't get any chicken.
But did they try to entice you? Did they?
I don't know, because I say in the book, the first time we went to that company, it's in Lisbon. I went with our acting CEO. He was called Kennedy Kihara, and 2 commissioners. And we just did the same thing. They took us from the airport to the hotel. We paid for ourselves. We went for dinner with them. And then we went to the factory now to proofread and approve the ballot papers. So no chicken was offered to us anyway. But I talk about it now in retrospect. In my second visit, I went with the Oswago and Ken Nyaundi. It was the time we were doing, I think, the referendum ballot papers. I don't know then that something was going on at the back. And I say in the book, I was told by the Oswago, they want to see you, the father and the son. They were owned by father and son, the company, Smith and Usman.
Right.
So I came down, I sat with them, and they were not telling me anything. They were just, silence. So I thought something was supposed to go on here, but I don't know what it is. So I left after about half an hour with them. I also met there with the CEO of Kenya National Examination Council, Dr. Isonga. Again, he has come for his own job. But I never got any money from that company. They never paid for my accommodation. They never gave me any money for any birthday gifts or something for the children. So it was very unfortunate for me that I became the face of Chicken Gate in Kenya. If you recall again, I said chicken, according to the investigation report from UK, the agent of Smith and Usman in Kenya was called Trevi Oyambra. And he's the one who was meeting with the tender committee, which was the one dealing with the... I don't want to talk much about this because it's in court still, but I can say what is in public domain. And that was that they used the name chicken as a code word for bribe. And I told the investigators, if I was to agree with somebody on a code for bribe, the chicken would be the last name in my head. It will be a camel or a goat or a cow. I mean, Guzi Oze. But I will not call it chicken. Yeah. And so when the story broke and my friend Samuel Ashore calls me and tells me, you're a very useless pastoralist. How can you ask for chicken from all that? And the sad thing is that according to the investigations and the report that we have, they paid over 50 million shillings as bribes. I got nothing from it. Yes.
In that case, you said it's still in court?
Yeah,
no one's ever been convicted?
No, it's still in court. In fact, I'm a witness.
Oh.
I'm a witness, and what they have done is that I think they converted one of the accused to a witness. Yes, so I think it's a very strong case against the other accused persons. Yeah. Yeah.
Chairman, I want to take a quick break, come back, and I want you to walk me through the 2013 elections.
Yes.
Walk me through that, and the final results, and what happened after that. Because you gained a lot of enemies.
Yes.
A lot of people were, would say, accused you of so much.
Yeah, I know. Yes. I was even accused of getting 20 million shillings from Uhuru Kenyatta. And when I met him, I told him, I need that. I need the money now.
and just a correction, I said you were chairman in 2017. You had
no. I left in January 2017.
Yes.
And Kibaki came
and took over.
Yeah. So, but we had prepared the election plan So they were using our plan, actually.
That was your template?
Yes, our template.
Excellent.
Correct.
Wow, the very first chairman or chairperson of the IEBC, Issack Hassan, his very first interview, more than 5 years. No wonder he's drinking so much water. He must be nervous.
Yeah.
He's written a great book, though.
Yeah.
The book is called Referee of a Dirty, Ugly Game. It goes on to say, in the theater of Kenya's elections. And I also want to know, why do we get it so wrong each time? Will the IEBC ever get it? Will we ever get it right? Because every time, after every 5 years, it goes into dispute. Hold the thought. Hold the thought.
Okay.
Keep tweeting at Kananga Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLIVE. JKLIVE takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.